Ladies and gentlemen, hustlers of all ages, welcome to the Six Figure Playbook with your host, Alan the Ace Man Dickey.
Yes. Listen up, everybody. If at first you don't succeed, give up. Hello. Welcome to the Six Figure Playbook. I'm your host, Alan the Ace Man Dickey. You all remember that saying. You remember that? If at first you don't succeed, give up. None of you remember that, because what we do remember is if at first you don't succeed, try again. Isn't it funny? Some of the simplest sort of sayings we ever heard or experienced in our lives are ones that could teach us so much that we dismiss too quickly. Today, and what I want to talk about on this episode of the Six Figure Playbook is I want to talk about failure. All right? I want to talk about everything to do with failure, because a lot of people misunderstand that word. You know, it's a word that we have been brought up to sort of fear or to associate negativity with. And one of the things that you need to totally embrace and immerse yourself in if you're going to become that strong six-figure performer that you are going to become is you need to embrace failure. You know, I always say failure is the sexiest chick in the bar and I want to dance with her all night long. And the reason I say that is because we've always been brought up to view failure as something we want to avoid, right? You know, whenever you're trying something new, think about when you were a kid. Like I'm talking, this started at a really young age. But anytime you were going to try something new or take a new approach, you would always be warned by these wise people on planet Earth. It's funny, these wise people usually didn't have much going on for them because they were governed by the same falsehoods, and that is that failure is a negative. And all this did is it raised a bunch of us to get to a certain age where, you know, we're in our 20s and we want to start doing things, but we have a big problem letting go of the fact that we're not perfect. Okay, and that's the newsflash for everybody listening. You're not perfect, man. You're not perfect, nor will you ever be perfect. Stop trying to be. You know, the second you give up on this unattainable thing called perfection, that's the time you can actually start immensely enjoying life, seeing how good you can be each and every single day. And so that is why I want to talk about failure on this episode, because the thing is, a lot of people, you know, and I used that word before, want to be six-figure performers, want to experience these levels of success. And we already, you know, discussed that. As long as you want to do anything, you're in no danger of attaining it. But what you need to understand is it's only through failure will you experience, will you capture, will you attain success. I'll never forget, as a real young man, I mean, gosh, 18, 19 years old, I came to this understanding. And this is an understanding I live with to this very day. You see, I do a lot of, you know, public speaking. I speak to large audiences. And it was only recently I found out that that is actually a number one fear of people, like more than sharks. I don't know about you, but I saw Jaws at too young an age, and a shark scares me more than anything. We'll talk about that another time. But public speaking is something I love. I love interacting with audiences. I love motivating and inspiring them. I love sharing with other individuals, you know, methods, strategies, tips, tactics, and techniques that will allow them to succeed and experience all these wonderful things in their lives that I've managed to experience in mine. But every single time, without fail, when I'm about to take the stage, you know, and I'm getting up in front of 500, 700, 1,000 people, when I'm about to take that stage, I get these butterflies, right? Nerves. We all get them. They're natural. But what I did a long time ago is I recognized that that nervousness, that energy, that fear, because that's the root of it all. Fear is what makes us nervous, is what makes us start to second guess. Is I realized that when you face fear head on, when you embrace fear, when you know fear is on the other side of that door and you don't slowly open the door, but you kick the damn thing down, it is only then can you conquer that fear. Not only conquer that fear, but through conquering that fear, come out a lot more powerful than you did when you went in. You see, those butterflies, that fear that I experience when I'm about to, do something big, meet a new group, speak to a big audience, whatever the case is, it reminds me that I'm alive. It reminds me that I'm about to embark on something of great significance. Lives are going to be changed. And I've learned to take this nervous energy and channel it into almost a power, if you will. And so how did I develop this? Well, this happened over, a long period of time in a multitude of failures, man. I think about when I started my business. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew what the goal was. I knew what I was out to accomplish. But at the end of the day, I had to start taking action towards accomplishing these goals or nothing was ever going to happen. You see, never is a business card going to sell a product, dream, thought, idea, or concept to another human being. No matter how clean your desk is, no matter how sharp your pencils are, no matter how clean the screen on your computer is, none of these things are going to get the job done. They're not going to make you a six-figure rock star performer all on their own. They're tools. But you still need to pick those tools up and you need to go and fight the fight with them. And so when I'm talking about going for failure, a lot of the sales representatives that I work with in the automotive industry, when we embark on the training and developing of them in their careers, I preach this same thing, a willingness to go for failure. Sometimes that willingness to go for failure stems from, a new technique, something as subtle as the way I'm going to instruct them to meet and greet a customer. That subtlety is outside of their comfort zones. They've been spending their entire lives or careers saying, "Hey, how you doing? Can I help you?" And we know, if anybody's been a part of my training and teaching, there's a lot more effective ways that you could be meeting and greeting a customer from the onset. But you teach these techniques, and in theory, they sound great. The students that I'm working with love them. They're like, "Hey, that's powerful." But yet the very same afternoon, I see them get out onto the sales room floor and they don't utilize the technique right away. And the reason they don't utilize the technique is because, again, we're talking about fear. They don't want to blow up this experience with that customer with this new technique that they're not fully comfortable with, right? Or they're not 100% sold that it is going to work as effectively as it sounds. Yeah, that's right. The same people I'm talking about, they don't disagree with the technique. They agree wholeheartedly, but there is a fear of deviating from the norm, because what's normal is what's comfortable. And I want to remind all of you, comfort is a dangerous thing, man. This is what fear's job is. Fear's job is to keep you on the comfort couch. Because on the comfort couch, all you're really in danger of is falling asleep. And when you're comfortable, you don't move. It's why I say to people all the time as well, pressure equals prosperity, right? You need to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. You need to put yourself under pressure so you can truly react to it and experience what you're capable of. These individuals that I work with in the dealerships, the way I overcome that fear with them is I show them how to be comfortable with it. And how you become comfortable with fear is you face fear head on, okay? In the instance of the sales representative who might learn a new technique on how, they should meet and greet their customer, I tell them, let's get in front of each other. Let's drill this technique verbatim for a good 15, 20 minutes so it's on your lips. And then I want you to go out there and I don't want you to think of anything except the fact that you will be successful by going for failure. By facing this fear, staring the fear that you have of this possibly not working, the technique not working, you blowing a car deal, and facing that head on. What ends up happening is actually quite special. In some instances, they greet that customer head on and they see how effective and smooth the transition is to the next aspect of their process. And then they grow a lot more comfortable with it. And through that, it's very easy for them to take new actions and face new fears and go for new levels of failure. Again, failure is a beautiful thing. I can't say it enough. When you do this enough, when you face your fears enough, you start to realize that every fear you have is a truly incredible opportunity waiting for you. Because a lot of you listening right now, you've got a multitude of fears. And this is professionally, personally, this could be for anything. The principle, again, this show, we're all about principles here. And the principles, hold water regardless of what the scenario or situation is. But that's what you need to be doing is you need to put yourself into these situations carelessly, recklessly, if you will, right? Like I'm talking shut down that part of your brain that's going to tell you, don't do it, man, you might fail. Like you just need to ignore that stuff knowing Facing these fears that you have in any aspect, whether it's, meeting and greeting a customer, whether it's asking, a lady out on a date, whatever, again, by facing it, that is how you're going to gain comfort. And as well, you will realize and you will discover a lot of amazing opportunities that have been hidden from you because you've been governed by a fear that keeps you out of the game. I've learned more through failure. I've made the most money in my life through failure. I've had the most success in my relationships through failure. You got to be brave. But I understand that anytime I'm afraid of something or I recognize that fear is governing me, then I go and hit it head on, because the whole name of the game when you're coming into this world of six-figure performances, right, is you're a different type of individual when you exist in there. People who understand how important it is to go for failure, and people who understand that fear is the only, smoke that's clouding their vision, telling them that this is a negative, don't do this, don't do that, you don't want to fail, you don't want to experience failure, right? That's fear talking. And so people who identify this, they tend to be of the six-figure ilk, because we know that with each failure, we're gaining. What's that saying again? They say there's no such thing as losing. There's winning and there's lessons. I really like that one, because there's a ton of lessons that can be learned from the failures that we experience. So when you're thinking about inside the dealership, I want to be successful today, maybe, not maybe, you should realize how powerful social media is, right? How much business, how much leads can be created, marketing funnels that can be created, deals that can be captured through social media, but perhaps you don't even have a Facebook page. Perhaps you have a Facebook page, but you don't really put a ton of video content out there, Well, those are fears, and those fears are holding you back. If you're going to truly create six-figure lives and incomes and revenue streams in your businesses and your careers, one of the biggest things you must get over is this fear of failure. You have to be willing to go for failure. So I want to encourage you, look at your business, look at your career. We all have things that we think about constantly, right? They come up every week, every day, every week, every month. We have that same reoccurring thought. You're starting a new business, there's actions you need to take. There's dice you need to roll, risks right in front of you. But I can guarantee you something, nothing's going to change if you don't. So let today be the first day of the rest of your life, and say to yourself, all of those fears I have of failing, write them down on a list. And as of tomorrow, start to tick them off your list as you go one by one through them, facing them head on. If you've got a fear of rolling up to a certain client, for whatever reason, roll up to them. Roll up, go for failure, see what happens. And when you do experience failures, when things don't work out, smile, man. There is not one of us, there's not one business owner, there's not one immensely successful individual who does not have a number of stories to share with you on how they stumbled along the way. I've got a business that is incredibly successful. It's been profitable year over year for 7 straight years, and we have no intention of turning it around. But I'll tell you right now, when people ask, I told them that I've built my business. AlanDickey.com was built by the Braille method. I did the whole thing by feel, man. So we've got so much to cover in this amazing podcast. Again, you can find all of our episodes as well as a ton of other dynamite content that is going to help you actualize your thoughts, dreams, ideas, and concepts on my app. You can find that at www.alandickey.com/app. Okay? Stay up to date on everything inside the six-figure playbook. And remember, if you're going to be a six-figure performer, having a willingness to go for failure must be like breathing. Induce that in your life, and you will be one of us. Make it a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.